Hi there, friends and families. This video is to go through and explain, talk about a little bit some of our um, focus standards, the things that we're going to be learning about the next 3 weeks. These are the I can statements for Cycle 2C, and that is November 30th through December 18th. That will be 3 weeks. It'll cover between now and right before we go to Christmas vacation, which is also the end of this grading period that we're in. So we have 3 more weeks left in this grading period. Okay, let's start with one of our language arts standards. This is, it's 1 RL 2.3. It's dealing with fiction, and so we'll be doing a lot of reading and a lot of thinking about stories that we read and that we hear. The I can statements for this: I can identify and describe the main characters in a story, and I can identify and describe the setting of a story, and I can identify and describe the problem and solution of a story, and I can use key details to identify and describe the story's plot. We've touched on all of these things throughout the year. We're just going to do a little more focusing on those so that students, so that you get more, it gets easier for you to pick out those story elements. Okay, so that's one of our language arts standards that we're going to focus on. Another one has to do with writing. I'm excited about this one. We will be working on the next 3 weeks writing a personal narrative. And what a personal narrative is it's a story of something that was true, that really happened to you, and how you felt, and how things, what things happened, and how you felt about them. It's one of my favorite things to write. One of my favorite genres or types of writing, because it's a little more informal. It's kind of almost like or very similar to a journal entry or a diary. And we'll talk about that more as we go on. But a personal narrative is what we're going to be working on this week. And at the end, or this cycle, at the end of this 3 weeks, students, I'd like for you to be able to do these things on your own. So we're going to be working toward that. This is our goal. I can develop topics for stories or poems. We're going to write a story, not a poem. So you'll be able to pick out a topic for your story, something that happened to you. I can describe characters and their actions. We're really going to focus on that and talk about people in the story, things that happened to them, and how they reacted, how they felt, what they did, those kind of things. I can use words to signal event order, so words like beginning, first, next, then, last, those kind of words. And then I can organize ideas into beginning, middle, and end. That's a big one, because when we write a story, we want it to make sense. And so we want it to have an order to it, so that, especially when you're telling a story of something that really happened, you want to make sure that it's focused and in order of things as they really happen. So organizing your thoughts and your ideas into beginning, middle, and end is very important. So all of these things, and it seems like there's a lot, I know, but these things are all things that we're going to work on over the next 3 weeks. So, and I'll help you through these, just like everything else. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I want you to enjoy this, because I enjoy it. I enjoy this kind of writing. So hopefully we can work on this together, and I can help you enjoy it as much as I do. Okay, we're going to move on now to talk about our math standards, our math focus standards. This standard 1CA2, that is dealing with story problems. And I know we've done a lot of work with story problems, and so hopefully that will make these types of story problems a little easier for us, since we've already done some work with story problems or real world problems. The main focus on these types of problems is paying attention to and the important parts and deciding whether you're going to add or subtract to find the information that you need to figure out, okay? The I can statements here says, I can solve real world problems involving addition within 20, and then I can solve real world problems involving subtraction within 20. So addition and subtraction, none of the numbers will be larger than 20. Okay, that's what that means, whether you're adding or subtracting. And again, that's going to be something that you need to decide whether you're going to add or subtract to figure out the answers. And the other thing that we're really going to stress is showing your work and showing what you're thinking, okay? And that's what this last one talks about. I can use objects, drawings, and equations. Equations, another way we say equations, number stories, or sorry, number sentences, or the fact. Okay, you may hear called different things. Equations means number sentences or number models or facts, okay? So again, I can use objects, drawings, and equations to solve real-world addition and subtraction problems within 20. So what that means is using not just your brain. I mean, if you have fact power, that's great, but you don't always have fact power. So we have to have other ways of figuring out and other strategies to use to figure out our answers, okay? And that's what this part of this I can statement talks about, is using different ways to solve problems and showing the different ways, the different strategies that you use, okay? So that's that. And one other math standard we're going to focus on is all about graphs and data. It's 1DA1, and it says I can organize data with up to 3 choices. We will talk about what it means to organize data and what that means, what data is, how to put it into a graph, and we're going to use different kinds of graphs. And we'll talk about the different kinds of graphs that there are and how you can use different graphs for different things. We're going to talk about how to interpret data with up to 3 choices, which means what the data is, what it means. And then I can ask questions about data points and I can answer questions about data points. Those two kind of go together in that you can ask questions and answer them. And in doing that, asking and answering questions, you can really get to understand what the data is trying to tell you, what the graph is for, what's the purpose for the graph, and what it's trying to show you, what you can learn from the graph. So that is the last of our major standards for this upcoming cycle, this next 3 weeks. We'll be doing other things too, but these are going to be the main 4, okay? So again, let me show you the front page. These are all I can statements that will cover November 30th through December 18th. So between now and Christmas break, these are the things that we're going to be working on.